Good morning, everybody. This is Lauren Cohen, international legal and real estate expert. And I am here today with a very special guest, Stephanie Gilezan. And I will tell you about Stephanie in just a moment. But before I introduce her, and she is just like, honestly, one of the most amazing rock stars that I have met in my experience in real estate and eXp, and just in general as a powerhouse woman, amazing entrepreneur, just a wonderful person too. And because she's become a good friend, which is amazing. In any event, I am here as your podcast host with Investing Across Borders, and we are sponsored by Lendi, an international mortgage lending company that is housed in Israel and funds investment properties in the US for Canadians, Israelis, Australians, and Brits so far, and more to come. It's really amazing because Lendi offers solutions where solutions don't exist for non-owner occupied investment properties all over the US. So reach out and would love to connect you with the Lendi team. Anyway, as I mentioned, I am here today on Investing Across Borders with my lovely guest who I've been waiting on. When I saw her name pop up that she actually scheduled the podcast, I actually went, yippee! I was so excited. So, I was like, this was a long time coming. Stephanie is the director of commercial brokerage operations and oversees the whole US brokerage for eXp Commercial. She works closely with my good friend, Jim Wong. And I originally met Stephanie in Washington, D.C. in the summer. And since then, it's just been a whirlwind. Actually, since she joined eXp, which is about a year ago when commercial really launched, right? We're actually at a perfect time to have this session.
We are.
About a year.
We're coming up on the year when we said, eXp Commercial is going to be open for business. And of course, prior to eXp Commercial, I was part of eXp Realty on the corporate side and building and growing the company. But yeah, we're coming up on that year. And, a year ago, November 1, we had like 13 states open. And here we are, we've got them all open now. We're growing. We're at a 248% growth rate, Lauren.
Is that all?
I mean, is that all? 248%. We knew when we opened, we were going to become the fastest growing commercial brokerage in history. We knew that, right? But our goal, Jim and I's goal is by this time next year, that we're in the top 5 of largest commercial brokerages. And we're going to do that as well, too, because it only makes sense. I mean, I know that your podcast about, international investments and all these things, but that's exactly what this company is about. Here, there is no boundary. Right. There is no lane you have to stay in. There is no territory that you claim. It's the entire globe. And whatever your passion is and whoever you want to work with in whatever country and whatever state, we have that ability to do so. And now that commercial practitioners are seeing that and they're limited at their brokerages, that's why they're taking a look at us and ultimately joining forces with us.
Yeah, there's such a level of portability at eXp Commercial that just doesn't exist elsewhere and allows you to cross state lines without thinking twice. And right. Just having a local presence in all of these states allows us the flexibility and freedom to do that. And it's an amazing thing. It's something that really is unprecedented. Stephanie, why don't you give us, rather than me boring the people, since you are so amazing, tell us just a little bit about where you come from, what brought you to this amazing company, and who you are.
Absolutely. So I actually got into this industry right out of college in 1999. So real estate is all I've ever done. When I was in college, my path was lobbying. Political science is my degree. Spent time in DC, spent time at state levels, working for senators, working for Congress people, and really learning, how, if we're able to, for example, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, that's where I'm from, but spent time all around the state of Kentucky and learning about counties and the meaning between a dry county and a wet county, and how does that really affect the economics?
Tell me what that means.
So a dry county means there's no alcohol sales.
Oh,
a wet county means there is. And so,
Like in that movie, Footloose, right?
yeah, you rewind, back in the 90s of Kentucky, and you look, and you saw the big cities, Louisville and Lexington and Frankfort, and the northern part of Kentucky, very wet. And that's why they were flourishing. That's why they were exploding. And then you could go 10 minutes outside of Louisville or 10 minutes outside of Lexington, and you would just see pure rural. And,
Wow.
as these
10 minutes,
cities,
like that fast.
yeah, that
Wow.
fast. And so as these cities were scaling and more industry was coming into the state of Kentucky, and, we've got the horse industry, we've got the bourbon. We're known for bourbon, but majority of our state was dry, right?
That's
And
funny.
so getting involved in that in college, I actually worked on a project as part of my undergrad to see how can we convince the population in some of these counties to go wet, and what would that mean for them. And so where I went to college, half the county was wet and half the county was dry. And I said, okay, so how do we get this side wet as well? And let's see what happens. And then it exploded, right? You had all these chain restaurants wanting to come in. Then you had developers coming in, because if industry was coming in, then they had to build houses. And then you started seeing the strip centers come up. Then you started seeing the hotels. Everything came to life, right? And not everything should be around alcohol, but it was just one thing that I got involved in, which inspired me to say, okay, I see now the ability for all this land to turn into something and have this explosive growth. Let's look at the real estate factor. So I started working with companies and corporations and industries and government to have, the tax credits to bring these people in. Then I got involved in, okay, let's get a builder to come in, because now we need multifamily. Now we need single family. Now we need, and so I really loved the fact of taking a blank canvas and building the entire thing.
Like an urban planner, basically.
Like an urban planner. Yeah. And so that is really what got me interested in real estate. And so I think I had spent just enough time around government to know that they moved way too slow for me. That I wanted to move at my pace, which is like lightning fast. Everybody that works with me, they say, every day with Stephanie, you run a marathon, and most of the time you're sprinting during that marathon, but we get stuff done.
Right.
And that's why, things happen. And so I got into real estate, and I moved back to Louisville, and all I wanted to do was really dive into commercial real estate. Well, in the state of Kentucky, you had to have your sales license for 2 years with full-time experience before you could ever get your broker's license to be that principal broker.
Right.
And own your own firm. So I went to a lot of the big guys, and I call it that, and big guys. There was no real women in the business. And so I went to, these different firms, and they thought I had antennas coming out of my head, Lauren. They looked at me like, you lost your mind. How old are you?
Yeah. And you're a woman, forget about it.
Yeah. So I ended up going to putting my license with it when I was in high school. I played field hockey, and I had one of the girls was a year below me. The other one was a year older than me. I was sandwiched right in the middle of them. And I remembered their dad was a real estate broker, but he was residential. So I picked up the phone and I called them. They're like, yeah, my dad would love to have you. So I went to work for this small independent broker who only did residential. And I'll never forget, but the day that I walked into that office, he said, look, you're probably not going to make it in this industry, but if you want to park your license here, go for it.
Oh my God.
And I tell you what, after being told no by all these commercial brokerages, and then he telling me that, I thought, I'm going to set this world on fire. I'm going to make more money than any of these people put together, because that's what put the fire in my belly. And it still resides there today, that fuels this passion and desire I have to go pave our own way.
Right.
So I literally just started pounding the pavement. I started working with vacant land, bringing in industry, getting it zoned for industrial or getting it zoned commercial, or maybe sometimes the land was better suited for residential. So I really got into not only real estate and representing clients and corporations, but I also ended up in that same pace becoming my own developer. As soon as I had enough money to be that person.
Right. You used it. You used the income you had to apply to build your right. Now,
Correct.
yeah.
And
It's amazing because you had to, like, it was almost like the naysayers, just like with so many of us, when they say no, you say, hell yeah.
hell yeah, hell yeah. And so anyway, this broker wasn't doing anything for me. He actually got a little bit jealous of my success because I went out and landed like not only industrial and commercial, but I was landing some of the larger developers. And, then I could start working with these tract builders and different custom home builders to bring them in, because some things we were repurposing, like all these closed down factories or high rises down in downtown Louisville were just sitting there dilapidating and vacant. So we were repurposing for self-storage. We were turning them into luxury condo. We were bringing life back in. And so, he had this jealousy factor of how in the heck are you doing this? And so there was a woman at that firm who I found out she didn't do a lot of business, and she didn't need to. It was just kind of a hobby for her, but she had a broker's license. And I said, listen, Barbara, I have a deal for you. I want to own my own company. I don't want to play on somebody else's turf right now. I know the path I want to go, but I haven't been in this industry long enough to go get my broker's license and own my company and be that principal. But you've got a broker's license. I want to give you some money, and I want to give you a small piece of everything I do, and you'll be one of the wealthiest people for doing nothing. But I need you to open my company. And she did. And so I started my company. I built that.
So you still weren't licensed for 2 years yet at this point, because you weren't able to.
No, it was only like 3 months. I was only 3 months in.
Wow.
So she became my principal broker for my company,
right.
with the agreement the day that I was eligible to go and get my broker schooling and pass that test, that she would step down and it would be mine. And it ended up being the perfect plan, because during that time, I also wasn't just building my real estate career and developing and working with, the city and different municipalities, but I was also building a real estate brokerage. And I built it up to 48 agents. It was so funny because here I was 21, getting ready to turn 22. And the average agent that was working with me was like 46, 48, 54 years old. It was like all my parents were there, but but there was just this inspiring thing. And I'm thinking, how do these people trust this? Because at the, 21, 22, but it was the fire of, here's how we get shit done. Here's how we're going to do it. And they were inspired by that. And that's what I've been doing ever since and I love that piece of it. As successful as I can build myself, I make sure that anyone that I work with, anybody I get to meet, anyone that becomes just an association of mine, not even a friend, but just an association of mine, that I help them better their lives. That's what makes me feel good. We can go out and make enough money and be as wealthy as can be. But if we're not feeling fulfilled in every aspect, then that's not enough for me. I love to make raving fans out of everyone I meet, because I truly care about the success of people. And I know what it's like to always be doubted and challenged on the aspect of, well, what the heck do you know? My dad, I love my father, but he pushed me so hard growing up. I grew up on a farm. I mean, we did actual labor. We planted potatoes and we picked potatoes and, all of these things. And he would always just every day push me to the point of, my God, quit calling me. When I got into the business, he's like, how much money are you going to make this week? And I'm like, none of your business. And I told him, I said, listen, he owns a massive construction infrastructure company. So they put in roads and sewers and water lines and all that kind of stuff. So I grew up around dirt, which is what got me loving, the fact of what I started doing in college. But I told him, I said, listen, one day I'm going to be your biggest client. So I suggest you back down. And then I did it. I've developed multiple neighborhoods, office parks,
using industrial.
And yes, and I'm his client.
Amazing.
He's got to kiss my butt now.
There you go, Dad.
So it's interesting, but no, I mean, and we still run into this, Lauren. We both do. I met a guy the
All
other
the
day,
time. I know
he
what
was
you're
like,
going to say. I mean, for sure. I know it.
yeah, he's like, who are you? And I go, well, actually, I own all this. So,
And they
get off.
probably think because you're married to Sam that you're Sam's wife,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, you're Sam's wife. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
And let's
And
so let's briefly say so Stephanie is married to Sam Griffin.
yes,
And Sam is the production side now because Stephanie
yes.
is so much on the attraction and the operations. And I mean, she is a huge undertaking and has really, like, the word for Stephanie that I use without a doubt is a trailblazer, which I like to call myself. We go against the odds because the odds are not in our favor at the end of the day,
Right,
right?
right.
And in commercial real estate, having been in the EB5 space for so long, how many women did I see at the table over time? One in
Hardly.
20, maybe?
Yeah. Probably. Well, I just got back from being at C5 conference in New
Yeah.
York.
Mhm.
Then I went to CCIM in Pittsburgh. Then we went to SIOR in Nashville. And these are the top, some of the top people in our industry. And there are women, but you can still see, there's not as many. And it's funny because I love men, don't get me wrong, right? I mean, we love men. But it's great to start to see that those numbers are
Sure.
climbing. And what else got me excited was that I see the young, because so many people, even, in their 20s. I talked to a gentleman yesterday. He's like, look, I'm only 23. I said, so what? I started at 21. You can do this too. You know what I mean? Because so many people, you look at your industries, and when I was, a broker owner for my own firm, I always was getting offers to be bought out by national brands and so forth. And the biggest reason why they were attracted to me was because I was, one, successful and knew what I was doing, but two, my age then, was so far below what their average owner broker was. I'll never forget Remax really coming after me. And I said, what's your big attraction to me? And at the time I was 35 years old. They said, look, our average owner broker in this area is 62. And we're fearful. We're fearful
Right.
that if we don't get young talent in, that they're all going to retire at the same time.
You're
and
done.
we're going to lose our brand in this market. And it was true. I mean, it's still to this day that way. And so that's, but again, I mean, I don't care what age age doesn't matter. It's about whether you know what you're doing, obviously have the right mindset, but I still educate myself to this day. I mean, I learn every single day.
I think that's what
it's
keeps
about.
us certainly current, but also interesting and interested, right?
Yeah.
So you were rejecting all of these opportunities or saying no, or it wasn't the right fit or whatever the case may be. What made you say yes to eXp?
It was funny because the very first time I was ever reached out, I did not say yes. I
don't think any of us did. We all
Right.
said, no, that's not for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And basically I was kind of I was still in my, I was in my late 30s at that time. And I was busy, very, very busy. I had multiple developments going on. I had all these listings. I've always pivoted in this industry with the change of the times and the economy and all that different thing. But, I came out of the economic downturn on a high note because I really learned how to pivot and make money when everybody else was, not everybody, but a lot of people were falling out of the business because they just didn't know what to do.
Right. They were giving up. They weren't pushing through. They were like, they were letting it defeat them. Just like with COVID, the same thing, right?
Exactly. And so when eXp found me, I think that first initial call, I said, look, everybody and their mother wants to purchase my company. I said, I owned a franchise before. It was extremely successful. I started it when I was 24 and I sold it when I was 28 because I was the most unhappy 28-year-old that anybody would have ever met. And I did.
Despite the money, because the money was not what was driving you.
Exactly. So February 14th of 2008, I sold a franchise market center that I owned and started with 3 other people because I was simply unhappy and went back to being independent. And so I think that's, really what I told them, and probably among a few other words that we won't repeat. But this guy was brilliant because he understood, and he said, I just want to get some other people on the phone with you
Right.
to have other conversations, because we need to have some sort of a relationship, whether you come or not. And so over time, I would take calls, because here's the thing that I've always learned in business: shop your competition. Always shop your competition. If you have no interest, and I had absolutely zero interest in ever joining eXp at that moment, I still shopped it because I need to know and prepare myself for what's going to happen in this industry. And so as more people were getting on the calls and coming, they actually came to Louisville multiple times to sit with me face to face. We went through my financials because I wanted to show them, Lauren, you're not talking to the average person. I'm not better than anybody else, but I'm not the average person.
No, you're definitely not the average person.
And I don't mean that like I'm better.
No,
I sincerely don't mean it.
Right.
It was just, I wasn't the average person because I had built something that even if I got hit by the truck, it would still go on. It just wouldn't be so successful, right? And somebody would have to figure it all out. But when I was shopping eXp so that I was prepared for what eXp was going to do, I started to digest the state of Kentucky, because that's where I was. And I knew I'd built this massive brand and reputation that was stellar. I knew that. And I thought, okay, wait a minute. Maybe, because when you look at a real estate company and what's it really worth, when you take the star out of that, it's not worth as much as you thought it would, because you can never sell somebody on your book of business, because that book of business worked with me because of me. And if I sell that, it's never going to be that successful. Right. And so that's why every single person that wanted to buy my company wanted to lock me into it for 10 more years. And I didn't want to build somebody else's company.
Right.
So shopping my competition in eXp, I saw something in it that I was like, gosh, Stephanie, get out of your own way, because you are limiting your ability. You are so productive in Kentucky, but if you jump onto this platform, what could you be across the entire United States? And then, Lauren, I started thinking about, all these things that I had done. And my husband looked at me one day and he said, you know why you get so bored? He goes, you master everything you touch. And he's right. I may not know everything, but I do master my craft. And whether that craft is building a brokerage, whether that craft is doing a development, whether that craft is selling real estate, whether it is building a house, whether it is whatever it will be, I master it. And so something that I had never mastered in my entire career was, can I take what I know and do it in more places than just Kentucky? I'm up for this challenge. Can I truly build a footprint across the entire United States and additional countries? And so that's what got me excited about eXp. I just never realized how much bigger it would become than what I only was imagining at that moment. And so what happened, eXp had been in Kentucky for 6 years, and there was like 6 agents. There was no footprint. And
not much of a footprint, no.
There was nothing. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to, and I'll never forget when they were trying to convince me, I said, look, here's my problem. The broker, great person. She was a great person, but we are 2 different people, and nothing wrong with her and the way she does business, but it's not the way I do business, and it's not the way I build. And so she was ready to step down, and they asked, would I be that designated managing broker position for Kentucky? And I said, absolutely, I will, but I'm only going to do it temporarily, and I'm not going to do it for very long. And Jason Gassing, and at the time, Kathy Gordon, who was our vice president, she retired, but she said, we just want you to get it to 100 agents in the next year. And I said, oh, I'm going to do that in 3 weeks. And they laughed. And I said, oh, I'm going to do that in 3 weeks. And so I took the job February 5th of 2018. And by February 28th, we had 103 agents. And so then we kept scaling that, and then we kept growing that. And then I realized, okay, we can do this all over the place. But at the same time, let's better the brokerage. Let's look at all these, tools and what better. And so that's where I only told them I would be staff for 3 months. But I fell in love with corporate world because this company listens to the agents. And I love the fact that, okay, here I've brought on all these people in such a short time. I know I'm going to continue to bring on people. And if I can be a part of the operational factor of it, to making sure every single day that our shareholders, which is our agents, it's us, we are the owners of this company. If I can better that, then I want to be a part of it for that reason. Because back to day one, I've always had this servant's heart. I love to make money. I love to be great at everything I do, but I love to serve people. I love it. It's like this, I'm drawn into it. And so that's what we're doing now. And when it was time to stand up commercial, which only made sense because here we went from, it was 6,600 agents the day I joined to, 60,000 agents last year. And all the business that those agents are doing, it only made sense to, okay, now it's time to really stand up commercial, and let's change the way commercial real estate brokerage is done. Let's change the way it looks. Let's challenge all these companies that have been in their existence. There's nothing wrong with them and they're phenomenal, but let's show them that yes can be the answer versus who are you? You're a 21-year-old what? Right? And so that's what I want to do. I want to take the statistics because, commercial real estate, there's really nowhere to learn it. It's hard to break into it successfully without fumbling and really taking your time. A lot of people starve while they're trying to make it. So what can we build to where anybody with a passion and drive, like me back when I was 21, want to be in this industry? But then how can we utilize our eXp Realty partners who are doing all this business and teach them a fourth revenue stream, which is called referral fees? And then we don't have any boundaries. We honor the portability. We're in these 20 countries, and let's truly scale and grow it in a way that nobody has ever seen. When you look at some of the largest commercial brokerages that exist, it took them 66 years to go global.
Wow.
66
Well, I
years.
also think it's like, for eXp, when I came in, we were only in 4 countries at that time. And I think the global team joined shortly after and started focusing on going global. And that's one of the main distinguishing factors for eXp, one of many, but the global reach and the global aspects. And you mentioned referral fees. Well, that's how I operate. I have I think 20, I'm about to send my 28th referral agreement out today to one of our commercial partners to find mobile home parks and self-storage for one of my big real estate investor clients. And that's how I operate. And I have a closing today, my first one, through one of these referral agreements happening like now, actually, literally. So it's great because people don't realize, I think realtors look at business as local.
Right.
We look at real estate business as global. And
that's exactly right.
And really, even though that deal that we were working on, my team was working on in India, didn't end up happening, the fact that there was this multi-billion-dollar deal that we were even talking about in a country that I've never been to on the other side of the world, that became a part of eXp through a global pandemic. It's just like the story is amazing. And the same goes for the commercial side. Like a year later, to have created the presence that has been created, to have created the collaborative opportunities, giving all of us on eXp a chance to be in leadership, and people that, like, you know, I'm not an experienced commercial agent. I'm experienced at doing commercial real estate, but I'm not experienced at the actual transactions. But to give all of us a place at the table to talk and collaborate and ask questions. And everybody is so willing to help and reach their hand out, like you, Stephanie. And I think that that's also what separates you, because half the posts that I see you making are about mindset and about, you know, bringing other people up and helping other people, and giving, always giving, not asking, but giving. And it is a very big difference here, because everybody wants to help each other, because at the end of the day, it serves all of our interests. We are all owners. It's an agent-centric model.
And you know, Lauren, that was the big, when I was really shopping my competition, which I thought was going to be eXp, the competition. That's how I got so engaged and pulled into it, because it wasn't that mindset of they're all in competition with each other. That's not how we are. And the other brand that I launched and owned that I sold out of, what made me so unhappy being the principal broker and one of the primary owners of that firm was that nobody wanted to help anybody. Nobody wanted to give back. Nobody wanted to educate. Nobody wanted to share what they knew to better anybody else. And at 28 years old, I was so disappointed at the fact that, wait a minute, I stand up here every day, guys, and give. Help me give. Mm-hmm. Oh no, we have no interest in that. But they were owners of the market center, you know, and that's why I had to leave that. But that's why I knew that if being a part of another national brand meant just being in more competition with somebody else, that was never going to be a place for me. And that was when I truly discovered eXp was the opposite. That's what brought me in, because it aligns exactly with the mindset that I've always had. And when you talk about these referrals, to have that collaboration, and we talk about the millions and billions of dollars of these, just give everyone an idea of these 28. I mean, you probably not added it up, but what is that? What is that amount of money?
I mean, you know, none of the deals have actually come, not none. Many of the deals have not yet come to fruition, but the opportunity is for at least, I would say, $100 million in transactions, and then at a you know, you get a referral fee of the percentage. So it's significant.
It is.
It would definitely pave the path for anybody to be successful if even a quarter of them come to fruition.
Right.
So, you know, it's a tough market right now, certainly, but if you're working with the right agent, you're going to find an opportunity both on the commercial and residential side. And that's really important, because you know, everybody is out to help each other. And that's something you don't see every day. I mean, I was telling Stephanie at the beginning, my partner just got over $5 million referral for a 1031 exchange. Now that's a big deal. I mean, that's a big deal, and it doesn't know the person. You know, another thing that's interesting is with Stephanie and Jim. So here's a good story. So I met Stephanie before she met Jim Wong in person. And Stephanie and Jim have been probably working about as closely as any two people can work for the past year and more. And and you guys only met in person, what, about a month and a half ago?
Yeah, in August, we met in Dallas for the very first time. And, you know, we had met in February of 2020. It became official that he was joining as our president, eXp Commercial, on July 30th of 2020, where we had our first not in the world meeting with all of leadership around, but he and I's first one-on-one via Zoom. And we have many of these, you know, we're on the phone all the time, but we're working together. But we physically didn't meet until a year and 1 month later in person. And I had a gentleman the other day, and this is where we're going to just go ahead and define what it is, old school. Okay. This gentleman the other day, he said, look, I can't work with someone unless I meet them face to face and look them in the eye. I said, that's fine. but you're limiting your ability. Because let me tell you this story. And I told him about Jim and I, working. So, I mean, Jim will tell, and he's done this on live webinars. We can go roll the footage where he's like, I can feel Stephanie kicking me under the table,
Yeah,
and we're
for
not
sure.
even in each other's presence, but he talks about that all the time. But that's how well we get to know one
Yeah.
another in this company, whether we're an avatar or looking at each other on Zoom or picking up the phone and having the conversation. But you don't need to be in each other's presence to do a business deal. And he said, no, I need to meet you in person. And I said, well, we're probably not the model for you then,
No.
because we move too fast.
Yeah.
And in the 7 hours it would take me to get to you, I can do so much more. And I apologize, but this is what this looks like now. This is how we operate. I promise you, you may not touch my skin unless you come to Vegas, eXp Con, or we see each other at some event, but it's not going to change how well you get to know me.
No.
And that's the truth, Lauren, right? Even if we'd never met in DC back in July, you still knew me.
Oh yeah,
you
for
know
sure.
Me.
You've got the energy when you not, it doesn't fit for everybody. It's true. And as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, we could have done this podcast in the eXp world. We could have recorded it in the world, put it on YouTube with our avatars, since we have avatars and we are in the eXp world running events all the time. I just did my commercial international investment event on Wednesday, and we have all the avatars coming, and sometimes there's tech issues, but sometimes there's tech issues on Zoom, and sometimes there's tech issues in person when the audio doesn't work or the video doesn't work, or for me, my throat doesn't work because of this silly long COVID thing. But at the end of the day, I have found it's like who coined the phrase "we were built for this." I'm not sure if it was Glenn or who it was about eXp from the beginning of COVID, when it said we were built for this, and we really were, because it's a tech company. It's a cloud-based tech company. Even the stock is treated. Pardon me?
I said, we didn't miss a beat.
We didn't miss a beat. As a matter of fact, if anything, it expedited our ability to grow and scale and force people to realize that you have to be in the cloud. You have to be able to operate independent of in-person meetings. And nowadays, like we're having eXpCon, and it's a hybrid. It's in person and it's in the world. So if you can't attend in person, or you choose not to because of what's going on, then you can join the same way in the eXp world and watch the whole program and participate and speak and do anything in the world that you can in person. Now, granted, face-to-face is always great, and it's always lovely to meet somebody in person, but it's just not always feasible. And I don't know, for me, it's been eye-opening on many, many levels. I created my whole how to immigrate through real estate model because of eXp and the push for me to get more involved in real estate. So it's been amazing for me. And just knowing people like Stephanie, who I just said this morning, I'm going to reach out to you because I need a little help with something. Having mentors available to help you with pretty much anything, with your first letter of intent, with whatever it is you need. There's mentorship available and people willing to help and reach out their hand to help you be successful, because we all want to be successful together. So, and raving fans, I'm one of your raving fans for sure.
I'm one of your raving fans. It goes both ways, Lauren.
Exactly. Well, thank you. Thank you. And, it's just really a pleasure to know you and to know your husband. You're both incredible. I love Sam. He's great. Just real, true, salt of the earth people that care about other people, want to be successful in their own right and are, but also
we want everybody to be successful too.
To be successful. So Stephanie, I know how to reach you, but what about everybody else who wants to reach you because they want to learn about eXp commercial, or they want to learn about how to be a successful woman in real estate, in commercial real estate? How do they reach
LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Facebook. Call me on my cell phone. That's one thing. I mean, I think this whole entire company has my cell phone number, and I'm not scared of it. It's on Google. You can Google it, but it's 502-817-6484. Just like you, Lauren, I mean, you have come into this company. You have taught so many people so much about international real estate investing, and that's another thing that we're attracting is the clients. We're
Yes,
attracting the clients because we have people like you, people like Sam, people like Jim Wong, who we know how to put the deals together no matter where they're located.
that's
That's the
correct.
beauty of this company. And so the referrals and the business that's coming in also comes from the public because they need a company like
You did.
eXp that gets rid
Approachable,
of it. Yeah,
approachable. You're
yeah.
approachable. I remember when I did my very first video way back, my dad's best friend, Oliver Shalom, was the top voiceover actor in Canada. Okay. He was in like very famous guy. And he helped me with my first commercial. And he said, you're approachable, you're affordable, and you're available. And I'm like, I don't know if I like all those three terms together. But he's like, that's what people want. And
That
it's
is.
true. There is a cost to being a part of this company. On the commercial side, the cost is higher, but you get so much. There's so much value that is brought to you, so many tools and so much software and learning all these different amazing programs and opportunities and CRMs and systems. And I mean, learning from Bernard, the marketing director, he's been incredible, just wonderful resources, and all of us willing to share with each other. Stephanie, I want to thank you. I know how valuable your time is, and I
Thank you.
appreciate you. You know that I do, and I love you, and I'm so glad we could have this time together today. I am Lauren Cohen, thanking Lendai for sponsoring this amazing podcast, Investing Across Borders, where we teach you how to invest in real estate and other deals, invest, live, work, and play across borders. I'm here with Stephanie Gilezan, the head of commercial operations for eXp Commercial. And thank you so much again. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank
Bye for now,
you.
everybody.